Solidarity forever, for the union makes us strong. We shall never be divided. We shall never be divided. We shall never be divided, for the union makes us strong.
Solidarity
forever.
Recruitment of lecturers in public universities. First of all, I want to send a warning to our members. Get it from me. Can you stop teaching part-time lessons? Forthwith. It is the teaching of part-time that has made universities to fail to recruit lecturers. You can see the government is only keen in recruiting teachers, but for lecturers, have you ever heard that the government has allocated this sum of money for recruitment of lecturers in this country? It is our members that make universities to feel comfortable. I'm now commanding you from UniAfrica House, stop taking part-time lecturers. Part-time. Because by the time you are taking those part-time lessons, you are denying your sister, you are denying your brother, you are denying your relatives opportunity to be employed. Stop it forthwith. The next, those part-time lessons they don't pay. And as a union, if we are to have part-timing, then we must determine the rates. Not others teach with 500, others teach a lesson with 800, others teach with 2,500. There must be uniformity in the payment of part-time. And it has to be negotiated by Uasu. Not that each and every university want to pay their rates. Some of our members even go to class before they get appointment letters. So claiming part-time lessons becomes difficult. And what we are telling universities, now that I have given order that there will be no part-timing, can you now recruit lecturers? How can close to 1 million students be taught by only 9,000 lecturers? Huh? University lecture halls are full. And I'm seeing some are also being opened. Where are the lecturers? Their own document says that by 2029, Kenya should have 35,000 plus lecturers, while we are only 10,070, with 1,000 in management. So the lecturers we have in this country are just a paltry 9,000, with close to 1 million students in public universities. And now you are also telling them to go home. So who is going to teach from September?
The government has come to acknowledge and said, yes, this is not working. Now they are shifting to another. You cannot use universities as a specimen where you're trying to do trial and error. It is not a laboratory thing where you're going to try this and try that as experiment to see what is going to work. It's not a pilot. You are joking around with the lives of young Kenyans who want this university education. So you cannot move, keep changing and changing and changing, and then you say universities are supposed to bring students in their lecture theaters. When the government says universities allow students to come, and that government has not sent capitation to the university, what do you expect? This university to get money to have these boys and girls in class. Where is it going to come from? And then to add insult to injury as workers, the government expects that when the students pay fees, that's when the employees of universities the professor will be paid his salary. Where on earth have you seen that? Our schools in the same sector, the teachers in our schools, whether it's in basic, whether it is in higher education, those teachers are paid from the exchequer. They do not wait for parents to pay fees. In fact, it's very interesting. When a parent is not able to pay fees for his or her child in school, they make arrangements with the school principals and headmasters. They can bring firewood. They can till the gardens of those schools, as part of paying the fees. Does the government expect a professor to wait or to go and bring firewood also to the universities so that then he is paid? I mean, this government needs to be serious. It needs to be serious. We cannot continue like this. If we want to go to Singapore, as I'm being told, not via Vietnam, then these are the issues that must be addressed and addressed properly. We cannot afford to continue like this. Universities are in doldrums. Universities are technically insolvent. They are owed more than 100 billion shillings. Government, who owes these universities? It's government. And then we are told there's no money, but we are seeing a lot of money. If there is any time that Kenyans have actually generated a lot of revenue, it is under this government because of these high taxations that we are experiencing. So it cannot be that the universities can continue accumulating such debts. The other thing that these universities we must be able to talk about is the issue of the HRI, the human resource instruments. When you talk about human resource instruments, as much as you may want to align them to whatever you want to align them, we are telling the government that it must remember, particularly the public service, it must remember that HRIs touch on the very part and parcel of terms and conditions of service of these workers. Now, when you touch on the terms, it behoves upon you to call the unions to sit and negotiate. That is what the law says. That's what our constitution says. You cannot change the HRIs in some room somewhere and you want to come and load it over to these employees without the representatives being involved. And so we are calling upon the public service, beware. We are not going to allow any variation of terms and conditions of service of our members. When you reduce the salaries of a professor, have you asked him or her whether he would like to have his salary reduced or his grade lowered from where he's currently operating? You have not done that. You are violating the Constitution. And that's why we are saying the government must style up. The government cannot be a government that does not know what is on the right hand and the left hand is doing. You can't. They have to coordinate. Finally, ladies and gentlemen, this is the issue of the retirement age of workers in the universities. When you look at the recognition agreements that these unions have signed with the respective employers, there is something that we talk about terms and conditions of service. Retirement age is one of them. And in that document, it's agreed that those terms shall be negotiated. We have endeavored as workers' representatives to negotiate with their employers the retirement age among all other terms. We have mutually agreed without putting a gun on anybody's head in those negotiation rooms. We have agreed. And the courts have gone ahead and even registered those CBAs with those terms. Now, when a public service officer just wakes up and he issues a circular varying such an agreed terms, then it is you, that officer, who does not know what he or she is doing.
Who was the convener of the Machakos meeting? Who was in attendance? Who was taking minutes? And what were the resolutions? Today, I've been reading their submission where Public Service Commission is purporting that stakeholders met, including council chairs, vice chancellors of universities, principals, and Uasu. And they are saying that we met on 3rd July 2025. I'm still posing the same question. Who convened the meeting of 3rd July 2025 at Machakos? Who were in attendance? What was the agenda of that meeting? And who was taking the minutes? And what were the resolutions? We don't want people who joke with the lives of others. And they are saying that we agreed to vary the retirement ages. When I heard through my sources that there was supposed to be a meeting at Machakos, I wrote on 2nd December 2025 to the CEO, Public Service Commission. And this is what I told him. He has never responded to date. Reference is made to the above subject matter. We note that the generic human resource instruments have been forwarded to yourselves by IPCCF. We wish to register our disappointment with the said action. Kindly note that in the last meeting with Interpublic Universities Council Consultative Forum, where IPC invited us to attend at Confucius Institute, it was agreed that the committees comprising IPCCF and the unions to meet and harmonize the areas parties are not agreed upon before the larger team meets to adopt the document for onward transmission to Public Service Commission. The meeting has not taken place to date. And he's saying that there was a meeting. It has come to our attention that IPCCF has chosen to ignore, stroke renege on items that had been agreed upon between itself and Uasu. IPCCF has instead replaced the same with its own position, which was never shared with Uasu when the unions met with IPCCF. It is important that these teams meet to come up with a harmonized document that addresses the concerns of the union before the meeting scheduled at Machakos University on Tuesday, 9th December 2025 at 8:30 a.m. So which meeting is he talking about? The union is telling him to postpone the meeting. So if they met there themselves and agreed to vary the retirement ages, let them not cheat the country that Uasu was involved. We negotiated retirement ages for our members and registered the same at the Employment and Labor Issues Court. I want to give you an example so that you see that there are jokers in this country. On 28th, they came up with an addendum. I want to give you the implication of this addendum. A, all staff, teaching, non-teaching, and research assistants who have not attained the material retirement age prescribed in the circular dated 2nd March 2026, and in this circular, in this addendum, will retire on attainment of the age stated in this circular. So it means on March 1st, if you are 59 years, then you are supposed to retire on 3rd. While the obtaining contract you have, this assistant lecturer was supposed to retire at 70. So March 3rd, 59, now he's supposed to retire. The contract he has, the CBA registered, this lecturer is supposed to retire at 70 years. How can you reduce somebody's retirement age with 10 years? I want to give you another example. If you are a professor, is that second, before this addendum, and the contract you have, you're supposed to retire at 74. Then now it's taking you from 64 to 70. Suppose you are 69. So you are supposed to go home. Because now you have reached 70. I want to give an example of lecturers. Because I'm seeing lecturers and senior lecturers, now they have reduced the retirement age from 74 to 65. So as at March, if you are 69, 64, then now you are supposed to lose 15 years. And when you come to B, now they are saying, if you have passed, so a lecturer who was 66 as 1st of 2nd of March, now this lecturer and senior lecturer now is supposed to go to 74 because that is what is obtaining. And the one of 65 is supposed to retire immediately. Who is advising these people? Huh? So your colleague who is 65 is supposed to retire. You, that you have just passed the mark with some months, you are going to 74. Huh? And they are saying that this addendum has cured the problem that they created. The next I want to ask, for avoidance of doubt, this circular supersedes the circular of OPCAB 2/7 dated 20th March 2009. What happens to retirement, or what happens to the contracts that were given in compliance with this circular?
We shall never be divided, for the union makes us strong.
Solidarity
Forever.